Welcome to the deep dive. We sort through the noise to bring you the insights that matter.
Helping you get right to the core of it.
Exactly. And today we're doing something a bit different, looking into expert sports betting picks, specifically May 22nd, 2025.
Right, using the summary from Putin's POP picks page.
Oh.
Tonstop.com/picks.html.
Yeah, that's the one. Now, just to be clear, we aren't giving betting advice here. The goal is more to, understand the process.
Mm-hmm. How do these experts actually arrive at their predictions? What are they seeing in the stats, the probabilities?
It's like looking under the hood, right? And maybe see why they make certain calls.
Definitely. And it helps that Putin's POP seems to have a decent track record based on their own summary anyway.
Oh, yeah? What did that show?
Well, their strong plays were listed at 20 wins, 5 losses, good plays at 14 and 10,
Okay.
and then another good plays category at 3 and 1. Maybe a typo, maybe different confidence levels. Hard to say.
Huh.
But overall, 37 wins, 16 losses. And they tracked an 8.3% bankroll increase. So, there seems to be some kind of method working there.
Okay, 8.3%. Not bad. So yeah, let's dig into their actual picks for that day. Where should we start?
Let's go with their biggest call, the strong play.
All right. Which one was that?
That was the Philadelphia Phillies, money line negative 286, playing the Colorado Rockies.
Ooh, minus 286. That's pretty steep. And they tagged it with a 78% win probability.
78%. Yeah, that signals a lot of confidence.
No kidding. So what's the justification? Why were they so high on the Phillies in this matchup?
Well, it really boils down to some pretty fundamental mismatches.
Yeah.
Offense and starting pitching, mainly.
Okay.
The Phillies' offense was, frankly, elite. They were scoring almost 5 runs a game, ranked 6th. Their WOBA weighted on-base average kind of measures overall hitting was 8th best. Really strong.
And the Rockies?
Not so much. Dead last, practically. 29th in runs per game, just 3.35. That's a huge gap right there.
Wow. Yeah. That's a massive difference in run scoring potential. What about the guys on the mound?
Similar story. Phillies had Ranger Suarez going, who's generally seen as pretty reliable.
Mm-hmm.
The Rockies, as a team, had the league's worst pitching staff ERA, almost 6. And their starter, German Marquez, well, his underlying numbers weren't great.
Underlying numbers, like what?
Things like xERA, expected ERA, and xFIP, expected fielding independent pitching. They try to strip out luck and defense to get a pitcher's true skill level.
Gotcha.
Marquez had a 4.63 by ERA, a 5.38 by FIP, both suggesting he was actually pitching worse than his regular ERA might show. His xFIP was 133. Anything over 100 is below average, so 133 is not good.
Okay, so struggling starter, struggling team pitching overall, facing a top offense. Seems pretty clear cut, but...
Well, it's in Colorado, right?
Coors Field.
Good point. Coors Field, the ultimate hitter's park.
Doesn't that usually help the home team, especially one that struggles to score elsewhere? Levels the playing field a bit.
It can, absolutely. But the analysis here dug a bit deeper. It looked at how the teams hit. Phillies have power, good barrel rate, 8.4%. Those hit hard tend to travel, even outside Coors.
Right. Power plays anywhere.
And the Rockies, despite being at home, struck out a ton. Nearly 27% K rate. They also didn't hit for much power themselves, low home run to fly ball rate.
So the thinking was they couldn't really capitalize on the Coors effect against decent pitching?
Kinda, yeah. Especially against Phillies pitching, which had a high strikeout rate itself. Plus, the Phillies limit hard contact, low xWOBA against. So even with Coors, the edge still seemed heavily tilted towards Philly.
Okay, so the steep Netical 286 odds justified by the data in their view.
That seems to be the conclusion, yes. High probability play, aiming to keep that strong play win streak going.
Makes sense. All right, let's shift gears. What about the good play?
That one was the Atlanta Braves money line, negative 154 against the Washington Nationals. Lower odds, 62% win probability assigned.
Okay, negative 154, 62%. Still favored, but less of a lock. What's the rationale here?
This one seems to hinge more on overall team performance and a really key difference in the bullpens.
Bullpens, okay. Let's start with the offenses and starters, though.
Sure. Braves offense was solid. Not amazing like Phillies, but decent. Middle of the pack, runs per game, WOBA. Their starter was Spencer Schwellenbach.
Schwellenbach. How did he look?
His underlying stats were actually pretty good. Decent xERA, strong xFIP, suggesting he might have been pitching better than his surface ERA indicated. Maybe a bit underrated.
Okay. And the Nationals, I thought their offense was actually scoring okay.
You're right, they were. Bit above average, 12th in runs per game. So, they could put runs on the board.
And their starter.
Mackenzie Gore. And here's where it gets interesting. Gore's underlying numbers were really strong. Like, excellent xFIP. Looked like a potentially tough matchup for Atlanta's bats.
Okay, so decent Nats offense, really good Nats starter. Where's the Braves' edge coming from that makes it a good play?
It really comes down to what happens after the starters. The bullpens.
Relief pitching. Big difference there.
Huge difference, according to the analysis. The Nationals' bullpen was, well, struggling badly. 29th in bullpen ERA, gave up a lot of homers, very vulnerable late in games.
Especially against a team with some power like the Braves.
Exactly. Braves have decent power, good barrel rate, and their own bullpen. Much, much better. Top half of the league, reliable.
So the idea is, even if Gore pitches well for Washington, the Braves are much better equipped for the final innings.
That seems to be the core logic. Control the lead innings, exploit that bullpen weakness. The Nader and Flav 4 reflects that advantage. Not overwhelming, but significant enough for a good play.
Got it. Bullpen mismatch driving the value there.
Right.
Okay, one more. The value play.
Right. San Diego Padres, money line, Munich 116 against the Toronto Blue Jays. Win probability here, 60%.
Okay, 60%, nearly the same as the Braves pick, but the odds are much closer to even money, minus 116. What makes this one value?
Value usually means the odds seem better than the actual win probability suggests. Like the market might be slightly underrating the team. Here, they think the Padres' chance of winning is better than what Magus 116 typically implies.
So they saw an edge the odds didn't fully capture. What was it? Where were the Padres stronger?
It was kind of an across-the-board thing, but especially pitching. Padres' offense, solid. Comparable to the Braves, actually. Good enough. But their pitching, elite. Top 5 ERA in the league, second best in limiting quality contact based on XWOBA. Just really, really strong on the mound.
Compared to the Blue Jays.
Blue Jays' offense was okay, maybe slightly below average. Their pitching was definitely weaker overall, bottom third of the league ERA.
What about the starters in this one? Any mismatch there?
Oh, yeah, big time. Blue Jays were starting Godin Francis, his numbers. Not good. High xERA, high FIP, high FIP, all pointed towards him struggling quite a bit. Negative WAR, too.
So a struggling Jays starter against a solid Padres lineup.
And crucially, against that elite Padres pitching staff overall. But wait, there's more.
Let me guess. The bullpens again?
You got it. Padres bullpen.
Yeah.
Also elite. Second best BPERA bullpen ERA in the league. Blue Jays bullpen. Average. Middle of the pack.
So another late inning advantage for the favored team, this time the Padres. And this game was in Toronto, neutral park mostly.
Right. Rogers Center.
Okay.
Pretty neutral environment. So that bullpen edge, potentially very decisive in a close game. Plus the Padres strike out a good number of hitters, which could limit a Blue Jays offense that already struck out a fair bit.
Okay, so Padres had the edge in starting pitching, a huge edge in relief pitching, solid offense. Yet they were only slight Nader at 116 favorite.
Exactly. That's the value.
Yeah.
The odds didn't seem to fully reflect those advantages. They even mentioned a past successful value pick on the Mets that had a similar profile, finding odds that seemed too good to be true based on the deeper stats.
Right, seeing something the market might be missing. Okay, so let's recap the thinking for May 22nd, 2025.
You had the Phillies as the strong play. Pure dominance, offense, and pitching mismatch. Then the Braves as the good play. Solid team, but the key was exploiting that weak Nationals bullpen late in the game.
Right.
And finally, the Padres as the value play. Strong overall team, especially pitching, available at better odds than their probability suggested.
Fascinating to see how they break it down, looking at different angles for each pick.
Yeah, it's all about finding those specific statistical edges and probability mismatches.
It really is. Gives you a new lens to look through.
Yeah.
So maybe a final thought for you listening. How can digging into this kind of analysis, the stats, the probabilities, the expert reasoning, change how you evaluate situations? Not just sports, but anything with competing factors and uncertain outcomes.
Yeah, maybe looking beyond the surface numbers, understanding the why behind a prediction or a situation can lead to, well, better decisions overall. Something to think about.